Hello everyone from PG or whoever else is really watching this. My name is Cherno and I am going to go through some of my rendering tips really. This is all done by improvisation, there's no script, so if I start screwing up or stumbling, then don't blame me, this is not supposed to be professional. I was going to type it, but trying to get the screenshots and rendering all the stuff just took too long, so I thought I'd just record a few of my tips so I can explain it better. Well, the first thing I'm going to show you is how I genuinely clean renders. And I'm doing this one with this render here that I posted a couple of days ago. Because it was based on this old render, as you can see here, it's got that nasty little white outlining and things like that. Mostly because I magic wanded this out and it can be really nasty. And there's a white bit there. So, what I'm going to do, come out. First thing I'm going to go do in general is actually go over to this render. Because a lot of people don't actually see what bits that are wrong and that stick out, or any white bits are at the side. The general way I normally do this is with the magic wand tool, take off contiguous so it goes to any of the transparent parts, turn the radius up to probably about 50 or 60. If I magic wand in a render, I normally keep it about 70. And the general idea is you do it like this, and then you press Control Shift I, or alternatively you can go to select inverse, but Control Shift I is normally quicker. And you'll see that the dotted select line goes around your render. Which is okay, that's good. You're looking down, but look, it's also picked up these things here. See, there's some text and other little bits of leftovers. And doing this can easily show you any bits that are laying out. And because they're all selected, you can just go over with a brush and brush them, erase them all out without ever accidentally hitting your render or things like that. I know this seems a simple mistake, but I've seen quite a few anime renders where they have missed things like this. That's just a general tip. I did try to explain it in one of the threads, but I think it might be easy to show you. So now we can see that the whole background is nice and clear. Now, I'm not actually going to render much in front of you. I will render one thing which has already been rendered by me, but I'm doing it again just because it explains one of the techniques I use. But I want to show you how I clean some of my renders. There's a couple of techniques I use for more vector-based, vector trace renders and ones with less harsh outlining. So, for example, something like this one. How I would normally clean it once it's done is I would just press Ctrl J to duplicate it, go to the bottom one, go blur, Gaussian blur, 2, as it's already set, press OK, and then wait for your Photoshop to load up because your computer's a pile of tripe. And once it's done, I normally duplicate it normally about 5 or 6 times. Merge the layers back down. Duplicate them on top. And then normally just go back, hide the top duplicate layer. Go back to the normal layer, contiguous again, so you select all the transparent part. Control select inverse. And we're going to go select, modify, contract. I'm going to bring it in by 1 or 2, depends on the size of your render. Something like this with a lot of small lines. And I'm actually poking my screen here, but it probably doesn't actually help. At this top around by her sake gold thing. So I'm only going to do it by 1 by now. So we modify it and clip it in. And then we unhide the top duplicate layer and delete. And then wait for your PC to catch up. This is a really nice of getting really soft outlining, and if you want you can just turn off the bottom if it looks over feathered at the bottom. Next, I should actually probably say my general pen tool rendering settings. I did have it on a tutorial, but I've just closed that now because I couldn't be bothered to type it, so if I take a small circle. This is the settings I normally roll with. I use 0.7 just because I find 0.5 is a bit too small, but 1 to 2 can always be a bit too big, which can really damage certain, probably lower quality or smaller renders. Yeah. So if we turn off that now, we'll get rid of my watermark, because it shouldn't really be there at the moment. So yeah, we'll do that. Control Shift I. Notice we've got these bits at the side here. So the first job is to just go down, have a nice small hard brush, and take it in. Like that. Now, I normally work, when I am rendering or when I'm cleaning, I normally work with either a black background, or because of how my PG works, I normally go to this forum, find a random thread that probably won't crash my computer, print screen, and then colour pick the background colour. It's only because I find with black, sometimes you lose the outlining, and with whites, you don't see any white, I don't know what the term is, but that static fuzziness that goes around. Yeah. Sorry, I just had a problem with one of my folders. Alright, but yeah. At the moment, I am just going to go change to a random colour because my Google Chrome has just died in the background. I don't know, I'm recording this with Camtasia, and Camtasia and Google Chrome don't get along. So a bit of a darker shade. But yeah, that's a general gist. Now, for renders like this that I find that are old and is cleaning up, what I normally like to do, and this is what I do with renders that have really, really hard outlining. Ones like this, where you can afford to chip off some of the outlining. And that is just going on the outside with continuous on with a high precision, going Control Shift I to select it in the render, modify contract by 1, pressing Control Shift I, and then again, and then just hitting delete. And this will trim the render down. This works better if you have renders with lots and lots of light outlining, because then you can get it to a very, very smooth and sharp outline. It doesn't work so well with vector trace anime renders, and if you don't know what a vector trace is, well, it's a vector and then you trace it really. And if that sounds weird that you have to render a vector trace, a lot of people on where I normally get the renders for it on, normally are already attached to wallpapers, but they're normally just slapped on, so you have to re-render them off the wallpaper. Which also always makes them a lot higher quality most of the time, because they're normally really, really big images. I will probably go through towards the end of this about places to go if you want images to render, which there are quite a few of. But yeah, back to what we're doing now. So I'm going to repeat this one more time. I have already cleaned this render and done it before, but I did my normal method, well, one of my other methods for cleaning, which I will get to. Oops. But yeah, and the other one I like to do is the same Gaussian blur. But sometimes just leaving it on 2 and duplicating it a few times can smooth edges out. Or, if you are quite lazy, just see how I've cleaned it afterwards is I put way too much feather on it. But if you take the original render and you go FX stroke, and you get away with this more with anime renders than just general renders. And it's just having an inside of 1. I know it looks a bit weird because of all the Gaussian blurring behind it. And then just lowering the opacity to like almost none. Normally about 10%. And you can see it now, but most of the time a lot of people don't pick up on it. And it's really good if you don't want to go over and get in all the little bits out, or things like that. I'm going to go have to steal a render because I have just actually remembered something. Because these are an example of what I really, really dislike in certain renders, which is really, really tightly closed hair. Because a lot of artists like to really just overly feather out their hair, especially on anime renders. Yeah, this guy should do. Now, With renders like these, with the hair, you sometimes get a lot of white left over or parts of the background left over in the hair. With anime renders, it can get really annoying to neatly cut out the hair. So how I normally do it, as you can semi-see here with my very laziness, is I will take an eraser tool, I will use a very soft brush and drop it to literally about one pixel. And that might sound a bit daft, but you'll be surprised how big it is, and it's just a table just chiseling away any white or bits that's left over. It would be nice if I had probably had a better example of this, because this one is already out here, as you can see, already rendered. But you can see the cleaning behind it from all the feathering, and that will cover up any little bits of accidents you make if you brush too hard or anything in. And this is just a case of going up to it and just chiseling out, stroking outwards with the mouse. If you have a tablet, like I do, I run a Trust Flex. You can normally go up to like a size 2 or 3 brush with pen pressure on, and just gently brush out with the hair. If you do it with a tablet and a brush, you can get a lovely little flick and cut it a lot more smoothly than just brushing with a 1 pixel brush. You can still get it very fine and neat with a 1 pixel brush, but it is just a lot quicker and easier with a tablet. Cool. I'm going to show you a couple of my shortcut ways, because you know that I make a lot of renders. And I do have some tips of just cutting through a lot of renders. What I like to do with a lot of these anime renders is selecting the outline and then duplicating it. Actually, I will speed up this one quickly. Slight change of language. My computer just crashed then. It works. This was the original example I had, which was my first render of this quality, but then I realised I didn't actually have the original render. Well, I mean, the bigger render version of it, because I actually found a higher quality piece of the original thing I cut out, so this render is sized up for it. But I don't know if you can see, but here you can just see the black outlining going around. When if you look on this, you can see that there's also the red outlining. And you can see where I picked it up off the red outlining and then stepped to the inside. And as you can see with literally just with one magic wand, you can practically pick up on most of the renders outlining. The trick is generally just to follow the lines around to see where it ends. Hold shift or go over and click this button here. And you might think, oh, this looks a bit rough and a bit weird now. But what we are going to do is we're going to go select the inside of it. And as you can see, we have this nice little outline. And we're going to unhide the original picture layer, press Ctrl G, and then hide the bottom layer. And we see we have the right quasar. We still have parts of the background here, here, and here, but we will cut them out there. And then you can either hide the outlining or keep the back depending on what you want. So I stick a colour in the background. You can have it with or without the white outline. Preferably, I think it's better without the white lining. Yeah, and then we're just going to go ahead and do the inside, really. So here's one I made earlier. And yeah, ding, hide up. And here we are. We have it all rendered, and then all you need to do is then go clean it, use your process, and then slap on your watermark or anything like that. These ones I'm using now have really big, thick outlines on the outside. Truth be told, you can use this technique on anything that's about 3 to 4 pixels wide. and pretty much any big anime render wallpaper, you can nab these sort of things off of. It's pretty. It takes a bit of time to do, and it does take concentration. But it's really simple. It's really clean, and it's sometimes it can be better than just pen tooling all the way around, especially if you're not confident with the pen tool, or you just don't understand curving, or just general pen tool things lose you. So, and for renders like this, who the artist name's I think Skid Row or something like that. Not Skid Row. Should actually mention that. His name's Slipknot, but it's spelt funny, and he does a lot of Pokemon art like this. I don't know if I did release a render pack or renders like this. No. The next thing I will probably go and show you will probably. I'll show you a bit of my channeling render, because I get a lot of requests of how I actually render so fast, and one of the main reasons is I do channel render. There's lots and lots of different tutorials, and I think everyone who does channels does it differently. My usual method is if you just flicking over to the channels tab, or go in window channels if you don't have it. And the idea is all about contrast. Here we have just a white background, and with the outline you could probably just pick it up with a technique before, but this is for renders like this can be a lot quicker and a lot easier. So I am going to, and the idea is the fact that we need to make the render as contrasting to the background as possible, and you do this by turning off one of these layers. Well, you turn off the red, and it has the blue outline, so you're going to have to pick one. And we see that red, a bit more grey. The green is way too bright, but red we get the nice dark colour. Now, when we have that, we're going to drag this down to new layer and try to duplicate it. Now we have it duplicated, we're going to press Ctrl L for levels. And the idea is to just keep nudging them in. You don't want to make it too thick, because you can get some artifacts left over and it can become messy. So yeah, we have it as silhouette as we're going to get. Press OK, and then the general idea is to pretty much pick up the black tool, the brush tool, or polygon or lasso, whatever you want. I'm just going to brush it because I'm lazy like that. And then if I can find a normal brush, we will just, well, blacken it out. Stay in the lines. You can, if you're really that lazy, you can probably just go and paint bucket and fill it in, whatever you want to do it. You can always zoom in and check out for little white pixels, as I can see, for things like that. You want it completely blacked out. For more colourful renders, it's pretty much, it will normally go straight black if it doesn't. Yeah, I will probably go skip ahead in a couple of seconds time. Yeah, so when we go back, we just simply delete. And it's rendered. Smooth, easy. You can clean it up if you want, but normally with channel rendering you don't. But what I will recommend you check for is artifacts, because sometimes you can over channel things, and it can leave some nasty little white parts or whatever colour the background is left over. And it's important to check for these, because sometimes you can't notice it when you're fiddling around with the channels. And these you can either just brush out, pen tool out, polygon or lasso out. But always check. Always check your renders. I mean, as you can see here, I've gone a bit overboard and there is a bit of a white outline here. But if you're generally just cleaning up, it'll take 2 seconds to remove that. But yeah, there is also the white parts, some left bit out. And this is where like the 1 pixel brushing or things like that can come in, which is just zooming in, 1 pixel small brush, and just nudging it out. Now, I don't know if you can hear my clicking, but there is a lot of clicking, because that's what I normally find helps. So it's almost like smudging, but it's just constantly clicking. I don't know what else to really go on about, and there is a bit down here actually, it's annoying me. I'm going to be lazy with this. And just clean it up. But yeah. And it's nice, tight, straight, and pretty good looking. Not much else I can really add. I picked this render out here because it's one where you can't really use the outline tool because of the weird background and the swirls and the blackness. So what I would recommend doing is running around with the brush tool first. And this is white background, but what I mean is either with the brush tool or the polygonal lasso tool. I'm going to use polygonal because and it's just snipping and breaking these lines. You don't have to be too neat with them, it's just little squares, breaking the lines, so you can pick the line art up. And normally, if you do it just above the line art, then you won't actually hit it or affect it, so you can just spin around and get it done. Well, I trimmed a bit of the outline in here actually quite a lot. Probably wasn't the best example to go use. But that's the general gist, just cutting off that annoying black that connects onto the line art. And that's probably it, guys. There's not really much else to my renders, really. It's much more about just having lots and lots of requests to get done, but channel rendering is definitely the fastest way of doing it. I'm just going to demonstrate here the artifacts and the pixely outlining. I didn't duplicate it here because I pretty much just buggered this up. When you duplicate this, and your computer actually keeps up, and I put some colour behind it, can you see how rough that actually comes out when it's over channeled? I don't know if you can see it going around properly though, so I'll probably try zooming in. But you do have to pay attention because when you zoom in, look how actually disastrous that comes out. And that is with just a standalone render, so if you're doing it with like an actual human render, it can be really, 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 really annoying. My final note is a bit of a tangent, but when I ever do my hockey player renders, this is mostly for the Tumblr side of things, I always use the polygonal lasso tool, and because I can't render hair or things like that. I'm really no good at getting nice, clean, in general renders. I can't actually find it, so I'm just going to give up and skip straight over. So just ignore that whole sentence. Now, places to find pictures of renders. For anime renders, it's the burrows. I don't know if you can see when they're durable, and I'm not going to go on it because there's lots of not suitable for work ads. If you want the safe for work one, it's Safe Burrow. And this is your general anime search picture engine, as it says. This number tells you how many there are, and you can type in anything like, say, Tuhu, and it comes up, and then you have stuff you can render, and things like that. There's lots of different burrows. Jailburrow has the most out of all the burrows, but a lot of it isn't tagged very well, and there's a lot of not suitable work stuff, and the general quality of acceptance is a lot lower. Danburrow is where you have your higher quality fan arts, but there's a bit less because of the strict same naming system, and it's tagged better, and it doesn't have not suitable for work ads. But on Danborough you have to have an account to be able to search for, I think, 2 or more tags, and Safe Burrow is your safe for work one. There's other ones like Pony Burrow if you're into ponies. Oh, Pony Burrow search that. That probably doesn't help. But it's like the pretty much just there's pretty much a burrow from most things. I mean, if you're into 2, there's also there's even a burrow based of a burrow based on Hakuris. When you start straying away from different fandoms and things like that, sometimes there's a lot less. But these are your general big places, and most anime fans are probably already familiar with these. But if you're not, that always helps. Zero-chan is also good, because it's got the much higher quality stuff. The only other place I would suggest to go, and as you see on top, is actually 4chan, and that's for things like the anime cute threads, or the cute guy threads, or things like that, because it's normally a lot organised by different shows. So if you want like a lot of Naruto pictures and things like that, you can render it as much more easier to predict things like that. The last plug then, well, probably my favourite, well, probably the time I spend most of the time is Platinum Graphics. As you can see at the top here, bunch of lovely people. But yeah, this is where you'll find pretty much all of my anime renders, because I don't know if you know them, and there are a lot. Anything named Cherno or Cherbo is pretty much me, and as you can see, I have lots and lots of renders. The only other place you can really go is on my Tumblr, which I will try to get to, which is 2 Minutes of Baka. This is where you'll find all my actual. Here's where you'll normally find a lot of my hockey renders, my general hockeyness, and just in general hockey hockey stuff, and fan art. I hope that helps you guys, and I will slowly edit this video, and I will say bye bye and thanks for watching.